cannot be changed. The UK is and will always be a European nation. We share the same values, we harbour the same hopes, and will continue to work together as partners and allies. In other words, it will be in the interest of us all to ensure that a future relationship will be constructive and mutually beneficial. Now, so we can indeed move forward. In other words, cool heads must now prevail.
Messieurs les députés, votre Parlement, Monsieur le Président, s'apprête à discuter de l'avenir de l'Europe et de la place du Royaume-Uni au sein de l'Europe ou près de l'Union européenne. J'avais beaucoup de rendez-vous ce matin, mais j'ai décidé de venir au Parlement européen. Je crois que ma place aujourd'hui et maintenant est ici, au sein de la démocratie européenne. Nos amis britanniques se sont exprimés par la voie du suffrage universel. Il est évident que l'expression de la volonté majoritaire des Britanniques demande le respect de tout le monde. La démocratie est la démocratie et nous devons payer respect à la démocratie britannique et à l'expression qu'elle a choisi de se donner. That's the last time you are applauding here. And to some extent, I'm really surprised that you are here. You were fighting for the exit. The British people voted in favour of the exit. Why are you here? Oui. L'Europe n'est pas une affaire seulement cérébrale. Oui, il faut raison garder, mais il faut aussi, lorsqu'on est triste, avoir l'autorisation de dire qu'on est triste. Je suis triste après ce vote britannique et je ne le cache pas. Ce n'est pas, comment dire, du sentimentalisme, c'est ma conviction profonde. J'aurais voulu que le Royaume-Uni soit à toujours à nos côtés et avec nous. Il a décidé autrement. Il faut en tirer les conséquences. Si je dis que je suis triste, bien que les sentiments, à ce qu'il paraît, n'ont plus cours dans la vie politique, je le dis parce que je ne suis pas un robot. Je ne suis pas le bureaucrate, le technocrate que vous êtes des bureaux exit. Moi, je ne suis pas un bureaucratique, je ne suis pas un technocrate. La Commission a été élue par cette Assemblée. Nous avons eu un processus démocratique avec les lead candidates qui a mené au résultat que vous n'aimez pas, mais nous sommes là en tant qu'êtres humains. Je ne suis pas un robot, je ne suis pas une machine, je suis un être humain, je suis un Européen, et donc j'ai le droit de dire que je regrette le vote des Britanniques. Je voudrais que le Royaume-Uni clarifie sa position. Pas aujourd'hui, pas demain matin à 9 heures, mais rapidement. Nous ne pouvons pas nous installer dans une période d'incertitude prolongée. Moi, contrairement à d'autres, je ne suis pas un esclave des marchés financiers, mais je les observe avec les représentants britanniques. No notification, no negotiation.
And experiences. A whole young generation is in shock. More than 73% of young British wanted to stay European. Their hopes have been destroyed. The politicians, dear friend, the politicians who fought for the Brexit had the privilege to live in a Europe without walls, without nationalism. They are now erecting new walls. We say our message today is the young generation of the United Kingdom can continue to trust in their friends in Europe. We don't leave you on your own. On Friday, Nigel Farage said publicly that the promised £350 million a week would finally not go to the National Health Service. It had all been a lie. I ask Mr Farage, if you had an ounce of decency in you, you would apologise today to the British. Shame on you.
Avevano promesso agli elettori l'uscita dall'Unione Europea, ma in realtà hanno lasciato un campo pieno di macerie, una crisi costituzionale con la Scozia, il caos politico con il resto del Paese, il crollo della sterlina, un danno reale all'economia reale. Ora, dopo aver distrutto il Paese, qualcuno vorrebbe distruggere anche l'Unione Europea, paralizzando la vita di queste istituzioni. Lo dico con chiarezza, l'Unione Europea non può diventare ostaggio dei giochi di corrente del Partito Conservatore britannico.
Meantime, the treaties are clear and they must be respected. So both the UK and the EU negotiators need to give the market certainty over the timetable for negotiations. Prepare your negotiating positions ready for when Article 50 is triggered, and look for a deal that is as much as possible mutually beneficial to both the EU and the UK. It is not the speed at which negotiations are completed, but the deal that we get at the end which is more important. Let me also say on a personal note, for centuries Britain has welcomed people from all over the world. When many European countries were mired in dictatorship and fascism, we are an open country. And today, I hope, all British politicians can unite in stating that Britain will remain an open, tolerant and global nation. Regardless of how we now proceed, Britain and the EU will continue to be close partners for years to come. So now is not the time to replay the past.
Democracy and of our democracy. What makes it so hard for me, and I think also for the other group's leader and for everybody here in this House, is the way it succeeded. The absolute negative campaign. The posters of Mr. Farage showing refugees like in Nazi propaganda because they copied it at that moment. I never thought it was possible that somebody in this House should do a thing like that. The lies also on migration. The lies on, oh, Turkey will join the Union next week. Or the lies on the £315 million that should return immediately to the National Health Service and now don't go back to the National Health Service. It's that climate of fear that has been created, of negativism that has been created. That is the most shocking thing of what happened in Britain. Not the choice of the people, because the choice of the people is democracy. And today, we see the outcome of it, a multi-billion loss in stock market value, a dramatic drop of the pound. It goes down when you speak, Mr. Farage, wait a little bit. Standard & Poor has downgraded the British currency, and every time Mr. Boris Johnson speaks, the more the British currency slips. So the Brexiteers, and they're also here in the House, and Mr. Kamal will tell us, yeah, but it's only a temporary setback. It's only a little glitch. I don't know. I hope for us all it's only a glitch. But what I do know is that we need the fastest as possible to end this uncertainty as soon as possible. That is needed now. And the worst thing that can happen is to continue this uncertainty. Only the immediate evocation, I think, of the procedure for a clean separation as foreseen in the treaty can end what I call the toxic climate that has been created since Thursday of last week. A toxic climate that is bad for business, bad for investment, bad, Mr. Farage, for all hard-working, ordinary, decent people. And triggering the so-called Article 50 is not a punishment. What we are talking about for those who voted to leave, it's quite the opposite, I should say. It is respecting their choice if we do so. But it is an act against the bickering of the Tory leadership for the moment and against the selfishness of one man who is ready to do everything, even to sacrifice the voice of 70 million British citizens and the interest of 60 million other citizens to become Prime Minister of the UK, or should I say, Prime Minister of the dual kingdom of England and Wales. So we both, and I say to those, the British representatives, our colleagues here, we both, Brits and Europeans, cannot afford to be stuck in limbo. Let's be honest. Mr. Kamal said, we need to negotiate, we have to prepare ourselves. Prepare ourselves? Prepare ourselves? The Leave camp is adrift for the moment. Lost. Rudderless. Mr. Kamal is voting for a Leave, and his colleague from the Polish delegation asked for a new referendum in Britain. Is that the certainty we need? So we, colleagues, the 27 other members of the European Union, should not wait for a disoriented party to get its act together. We should now move forward.
Dépendra la survie de l'Union européenne. Trois options se présentent à nous. La première, c'est celle qui s'est exprimée la semaine dernière au Royaume-Uni. C'est celle d'un repli nationaliste et, disons-le, xénophobe, prêché par Mme Le Pen, M. Farage, M. Wilders, Orban et tant d'autres. Et que partagé. La deuxième option qui se présente à nous, M. Juncker, est celle défendue aujourd'hui par la majorité des gouvernements européens et relayée par la Commission. Cette option consiste à brider la capacité des États à assumer leur mission de service public par des règles budgétaires et comptables économiquement insensées et par la mise en concurrence de leurs systèmes sociaux et fiscaux de nos concitoyens. Quant à nous, nous voulons nous inscrire dans une troisième option, à la fois résolument pro-européenne, qu'il n'y ait aucun doute là-dessus, mais en rupture avec cette pensée unique. Nous voulons que l'Union européenne renoue avec les racines de son projet, qui était d'assurer la paix sur ce continent par l'extension des libertés démocratiques d'une part et par une prospérité durable et partagée. Et je nous demande, est-il impossible d'assurer la viabilité de l'euro par une véritable union sociale et fiscale? Est-il impossible de faire de la transition énergétique le projet phare de la relance de notre économie? Est-il impossible d'interdire les poisons qui tuent notre environnement et nos organismes à petit feu? Est-il impossible d'abandonner des traités de libre-échange qui ne bénéficient qu'aux happy few? Est-il impossible pour l'Europe de redevenir une terre d'accueil pour celles et ceux qui fuient la guerre, la persécution et la misère? Est-il impossible d'inscrire nos sociétés dans les limites que leur impose notre planète? Est-il impossible de revivifier nos démocraties par un surcroît de transparence et de participation citoyenne? En bref, est-il impossible de remettre la dignité humaine, celle de tous les êtres humains, ici et là, aujourd'hui et à venir, au cœur de la politique? Notre
Fraktion hat jetzt das Wort Herr Farage. Good morning. Good morning. Funny, isn't it? Funny, isn't it? Thank you very much for that very warm welcome. How things have changed.
Eine Sekunde bitte. Sekunde bitte. Kolleginnen und Kollegen, eine große Qualität der Demokratie ist, dass man auch denen zuhört, deren Meinung man nicht teilt.
And the reason you're so upset, the reason you're so angry, has been perfectly clear from all the angry exchanges this morning. You, as a political project, are in denial. You're in denial that your currency is failing. You're in denial. Well, just look at the Mediterranean. No. As a policy to impose poverty on Greece and the rest of the Mediterranean, you've done very well. And you're in denial over Mrs. Merkel's call last year for as many people as possible to cross the Mediterranean into the European Union has led to massive divisions between countries and within countries. But the biggest problem you've got, and the main reason the United Kingdom voted the way that it did, is you have, by stealth, by deception, without ever telling the truth to the British or the rest of the peoples of Europe, you have imposed upon them a political union. You've imposed upon them a political union. And when the people in 2005 in the Netherlands and France voted against that political union, when they rejected the Constitution, you simply ignored them and brought the Lisbon Treaty in through the back door. What happened last Thursday was a remarkable result. It was indeed a seismic result, not just for British politics, for European politics, but perhaps even for global politics too, because what the little people did, what the ordinary people did, what the people who have been oppressed over the last few years and seen their living standards go down, they rejected the multinationals, they rejected the merchant banks, they rejected big politics, and they said, actually, we want our country back. We want our fishing waters back. We want our borders back. We want to be an independent, self-governing, normal nation. And that is what we have done, and that is what must happen. And in doing so, we now offer a beacon of hope to Democrats across the rest of the European continent. I'll make one prediction this morning. The United Kingdom will not be the last member state to leave the European Union. So the question is, what do we do next? Now, it is up to the British government to invoke Article 50. And I have to say that I don't think we should spend too long in doing it. I totally agree, Mr Juncker, that the British people have voted. We need to make sure that it happens. But what I would like to see is a grown-up and sensible attitude to how we negotiate a different relationship. Now I know that virtually none of you have ever done a proper job in your lives, or worked in business, or worked in trade, or indeed ever created a job. But listen. Just listen.
Herr Farage, Augenblick. Liebe Kolleginnen und Kollegen, bei allem Verständnis für Ihre Aufregung, Sie benehmen sich gerade wie UKIP sich normalerweise hier in diesem Haus benimmt. Also kopieren.
Thank you. Now, you're quite right, Mr Schulz. UKIP used to protest against the establishment, and now the establishment protests against UKIP. So something has happened here. Let us listen to some simple, pragmatic economics. Between your countries and my country, we do an enormous amount of business in goods and services. That trade is mutually beneficial to both of us. That trade matters. If you were to decide to cut off your noses, to spite your faces, and to reject any idea of a sensible trade deal, the consequences would be far worse for you than it would be for us. And even no deal is better for the United Kingdom than the current rotten deal that we've got. But if we were to move to a position where tariffs were reintroduced on products like motor cars, then hundreds of thousands of German workers would risk losing their jobs. So why don't we just be pragmatic, sensible, grown-up, realistic, and let's cut between us a sensible tariff-free deal, and thereafter recognise that the United Kingdom will be your friend, that we will trade with you, we will cooperate with you, we will be your best friends in the world. But do that, do it sensibly, and allow us to go off and pursue our global ambition.
Et si, mes chers collègues, pourquoi vous vous énervez comme ça? Regardez comme l'histoire est belle. Quand la liberté se joue des pouvoirs en place et triomphe porté par la volonté d'un peuple. Le vote de nos amis britanniques en faveur d'une sortie du Royaume-Uni de l'Union européenne est de loin l'événement historique le plus important qu'ait connu notre continent depuis la chute du mur de Berlin. C'est un signal de liberté envoyé au monde entier. C'est aussi le cri d'amour d'un peuple pour son pays.
For giving the British people their say. For years, the people of the United Kingdom have been trying to tell you of their frustrations and concerns about the European Union. You turned a deaf ear, but today you are listening.
Il faut respecter les nations, il ne faut pas respecter les nationalistes qui ne sont pas des patriotes, mais qui sont des anti-européens et des non-patriotes.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have listened very carefully to the tone of this debate, and I do accept that emotions are running high this morning. But at times, it has reinforced all the stereotypes that the British people fear about Europe and which they voted against on the 23rd of June. Threats, bullying and hectoring will not work with the British people. What we need to do now is accept the result of the referendum and build a relationship that is mutually beneficial to all our people, a relationship which respects our decisions but which helps us build prosperous economies, protect fundamental rights and secure peace in a world that is becoming increasingly dangerous. Thank you.
The London stock market's rallying strongly this morning. It is now 12% up since its February lows. Sterling is weak, but then it started declining from July 2014, and the Prime Ministers of Australia and New Zealand are now vying for who can be the first country from outside the EU to do a trade deal with the United Kingdom. Things are looking pretty good. The only upheaval is political upheaval, where we've seen a Prime Minister resign, and indeed the British Commissioner, Lord Hill, resign. They've both done so, I think, for the right reasons. You never know, we may be getting rid of a Labour Party leader as well. But upheavals in politics can actually be a very healthy and a very good thing. And I got into politics because our political class in Britain led us towards a European political project. So if that result last week sweeps a few of them away, so be it. But I am looking forward next year to celebrating our Independence Day on June the 23rd.
Hat jetzt das Wort Herr Alan Smith.
President, thank you. I represent Scotland within this House, and where I'm proudly Scottish, I'm also proudly European.
say we are not. And like the previous MEP, Mr Smith, we asked you to respect our vote. We stand by the vote of the people of the north of Ireland, just like Scotland, which voted Remain. We accept, we respect, we respect, and we will defend the wishes of the people of the north of Ireland. However, if English votes drag us out of the EU, that would be like Britannia waives the rules. There was a democratic vote. We voted to remain. I tell you that the last thing that the people of Ireland need is an EU border with 27 member states stuck right in the middle of it.
Vote in favour of that resolution. And my last thing will be to Mr Farage, saying that I'm shocked, Mr Farage. You are presenting yourself here as a defender of the little man, the hard worker, while you have an offshore financial construction. I don't think that all citizens have offshore financial constructions in Britain. But, okay, let's be positive. Finally, we're going to get rid of the biggest waste in the budget of the Union, that we have paid for 70 years your salary. Thank you.
Grazie Presidente. Una sola cosa al collega Farage. Io non so fischiare e se anche sapessi fischiare non mi sarei mai permesso di farlo nei confronti di colleghi e nei confronti di nessuno. Ma una cosa gliela devo dire. Lei non ha fatto il bene del suo Paese e la storia lo dimostrerà. Purtroppo la storia lo dimostrerà.